The history of U.S. coinage, things like the early Americans from the 17th, 18th century, the Young Republic. We get into the gold rush, and some people are shocked to find the first gold rush was not in San Francisco.
And how lucky was our country that we found gold?
Yeah, period.
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 I mean, because
lots of gold too.
A lot. That was a fluke.
In the Carolinas, in Georgia, and then of course in San Francisco, and so on and so forth.
Right.
But the Civil War, it was a tough time, and it's an interesting story of what we went through, and that Gilded Age up and through about 1865 to 1914. And
I happen to love CT Group in our top tier beachfront property of coins is 8 coins from 1861 to 1864. I love Civil War coins.
Absolutely. That early 20th century and the modern era and kind of where we are today, even with modern coins and what the mints do with their new, state quarter programs.
Well, they're educating people. They're doing what they did before back in the old days is they brought coins to the front of the people.
That's right.
Okay. They told a story. I bought the educational notes, setting a record price in auction in Chicago. This is a great story. I mean, and I can't wait to show Carl this where the government felt that there was a little, that our educational policies weren't really working so well for the children. So the engraver of the mint decided to tell stories on our currency.
And very well done, by the way.
Very well done. I mean, if you look on the $1, George and Martha, the $2 inventors, and then we have admirals on the $5. Well, the engraver decided to make the first 4 sheets to a friend who collected books. So he cut out the first 4 sheets, gave it to this book collector in 1906 with a great letter. And then Harry Bass bought it in 1953 for $25,000, which set a record on everything.
Right, back then.
Back $25,000 in 53. That was more than an $1804. That was more than a King Sam. And then it's always been in the Bass collection up until Chicago.
Until you.
And then I bought it in Chicago.
That's right.
And
you were going to give it to me, I believe.
I was going to. Well, absolutely, man.
For the university.
Finish the university, maybe we'll talk about it. Okay,
it's done.
But I'm sure we're going to have it on the university, and you're going to tell. I'm going to for you to tell the story about this because these are cool stories. This is what this company is all about. This is what Carl, who I call Superman actually, because he does such great work and he does it in such a swift period. He's an educator and he knows how to tell the story. But go on with the.
Well, I think speaking of the mints and the stories behind the mints, just the Philadelphia Mint by itself, what it went through from the first
Peter
mint
the Eagle,
through the all that.
Carl was the first security. How big was the security in the first mint?
Nero the dog.
Nero the dog. That's right. Big dog behind the gate.
Which we found kind of interesting that he used to make the rounds by himself when the guard was ill. Yeah. He was that. Trained and dedicated.
The director of the mint possibly murdering somebody in the room and burning the mint down.
Incredible. There's a lot of controversy and a lot of stories. The Civil War had a lot to do with the Charlotte and DeLonga mints.
What's interesting with the modules is you showed a lot of pull from individual people wanting to combat really our currency system.
Oh, absolutely. The mint was going to basically not exist at one point. The Bank of the United States.
What's the Becklers?
Yep, the Becklers. Okay, the private. Sure. Templeton Reed.
Very early.
Well, those early coiners, those private coiners, those early private coiners, they held on tight, and it's because of people like that brought the mints to Charlotte, that brought the first branch mint to Charlotte, and the first branch mint to DeLonga, and of course New Orleans in that act that the president signed for those first 3 mints. Unfortunately, Charlotte and DeLonga got $50,000 to build their mints, but New Orleans got $200,000. That was Jackson, President Jackson.
Big battle in Louisiana.
Yeah, so he gave them the best mint, the biggest mint. But going into San Francisco and going into Carson City and Denver and even the West Point Mint today, those stories are very fascinating. But once you get through the history of the coinage and you get through the history of the mints, then talking about the great collections.
Well,
this is where I want to go into.
Because we have the 3 parts, right? We have history being made.
History. And then
we have the collector being created.
That's right.
And then in 1986, big events occurred with third-party grading.
That's right. Oh,
the
absolutely.
Government beginning to strike coins again, American Eagles and Goldies, and that's when the investment side.
So we have the coin associations that we talk about, the coin grading services like you talked about, the third-party services.
So this would be history of the U.S. coinage.
Yeah,
that's collecting.
Yeah, that's actually the coin industry suite.
Coin industry suite.
Yeah, okay. Coin industry street. We talk about purchasing and we talk about some of the sales and marketing channels that are existing today and how coins are sold.
And most importantly, we're going to address the one thing that I get told most: how do I get into the market? Right. What's my entry level? Okay, and that's where we're one team versus 50 teams.
That's right.
Okay,
absolutely.
And that's why what our job is heavy lifting, and that's why we're doing so much education because you do not want to go through a sales and marketing company. They don't even have a coin dealer on staff.
Well, I mean, if you have a lot of money to throw away and waste it,
how do you make a little fortune
in high commissions? Yeah, exactly.
Right,
but I mean, but we're talking about, even the auction companies really understanding what it is, about the coin auction companies and the coin shows. I mean, what coin shows should we go?
Research. When you're going to spend your hard money, research.
Yeah,
I mean, we're not saying look and do business with us.
Absolutely.
Consider us, because if I was going to give you a speech on entering in the market, I'd tell you interview 3 companies.
Right, absolutely.
Before you do it, go to a coin show. Educate your hard-earned money. You need to educate yourself today.